everyone out there. It is none other than Gerald, better known as Yes Elvis Lives, along with here with Angry Nick, and of course, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Josh Peterson, the author of Vendetta Dark, now available on Amazon. Get it while it's hot and before it hits the New York Times bestseller list, because all the copies will sell out. So, hey Josh, how you doing?
Good, good.
Hey, it's this Game Source podcast number 122. It's phase one of our E3 podcast and our E3 coverage. We had Chris, who was down there live tweeting at the actual show floor for the Xbox conference. Actually, it's the Galen Center floor, which I've been at, which is always fun. It is Game Source podcast number 122. It's E3 2015. How are you? We are just want to let you know, give everyone a shout out. If you get a chance, check us out. Game Source Facebook page, at Game Source on Twitter. We are now trending at 8 times our normal volume as far as people that are checking us out. So we're very happy about that, and we appreciate that immensely. Please follow us, like us, and get a chance to get to know us a little bit better, because you'll be rewarded for it by getting the latest news and information all year long. We've posted over 40,000, almost 40,000 stories on our Facebook page and our Twitter account as well. So we're not bots; we're just real people. We'd like to be bots, but unfortunately, we've got very happy thumbs. And one more thing, just want to let everybody know, if you get a chance and you are very interested, as well you should be, for the upcoming documentary from our good friend Rob McCallum, Nintendo Quest. Please join. If you get a chance, get your tickets today and traveling the country, showing off the latest and greatest for his awesome documentary, Nintendo Quest. If you get a chance, go to nintendoquest.com, get your tickets today. It's an awesome documentary. There you can see actually what the video what it's all about, or you can check out our page or our site, www.yourgamesource.com, because it has the information. We have several interviews. We have podcasts. We've talked to Rob extensively, and he's helped us with part of our E3 coverage, and we're immensely grateful. So please check that out as well. So after all said and done, we've got 3 conferences down. So, gentlemen, I'm going to talk to both of you first. First questions I have are the 3 things you can take away. First off, the 3 things, Josh, you can take away from the Bethesda conference.
Who do you want to go first?
I'll start with Angry Nick. Angry Nick, I'm going to turn it over to you. Obviously there was a lot of great things shown at the Bethesda conference, including finally a more than 2-second look at Doom. Also as well, the Elder Scrolls is now becoming a card game similar to Hearthstone as a competitor, although I kind of went myself for The Witcher 3. And then also as well, what game they announced, Dishonored 2. With the female protagonist, that it looks really, really good. That game is coming up as well. And, well, Bethesda wouldn't be Bethesda without showing you an extensive look at Fallout 4. So, Nick, I'm turning it over to you now. What are your thoughts on the Bethesda conference? 3 things you can take away.
Well, I'd say from the Bethesda conference, obviously I'm an avid Fallout fan, so I was definitely happy to see the next installment of the Fallout series. I know that Gerald and I were discussing earlier that in terms of there being any big difference, I didn't, it seemed like just another kind of expansion to the existing world Fallout, but provided that it obviously is the Fallout game in New Vegas in 3. I know I was excited. Matter of fact, I'm actually teetering on going and making my pre-order to get my Pip-Boy. So I do hopefully have plans in the future getting the collector's edition. So I was definitely very pleased to see that Fallout 4 was announced. Although I had seen it prior to that on Steam. As far as Dishonored 2, I thought that one looked pretty good. Having not played the first one, of course, to me, it looked like that, again, per Gerald's discussion earlier, having a female protagonist, and it seemed like it was going to be an action-packed game. It looked like it was pretty good. Lastly, as far as my third one, I would say Doom. Yeah. I'm not really a big Doom fan, although despite how grotesque and overly gory the game is, it definitely graphically it is absolutely incredible. So I again, not being a huge Doom fan, I foresee that game hopefully making some good waves. But those are kind of the three that really stuck out to me. I'm not a big fan of Elder Scrolls or Morrowind or any of those other previous titles, so I can't really speak too much on behalf of some of other Bethesda's content. But those were kind of the three that stuck out to me. So, sure.
All right. Well, I have never played a Fallout game before, but after seeing this trailer and the gameplay, actually, I really want to play it now. So, I love the whole concept of an open world game. Just being able to go where you want to, not having to stay on like a linear path. So yeah, that game looks really good. And as far as the Elder Scrolls Legends, I think it's called, the card game.
Yes.
I love Elder Scrolls. I love those games. I love how they all connect to the previous entries in the series, but I'm not too big. I probably won't go out of my way to play the card game of it because it doesn't really add anything to the story for me. Dishonored 2, I'm really excited to play. The first one was really short, so I'm hoping that we'll get a little more gameplay out of this one. And I like the idea of being able to play as a little girl you were saving from the first one. And they also announced that you can play as Corvo, so that should be exciting too. But Fallout and Dishonored 2 are really the two games that I'm looking forward to playing from Bethesda.
Fair enough. For me, Doom, something that would, for me, to makes or breaks the Bethesda conference for me. I'm a longtime Doom fan. I remember playing it on, at the time, several $1,000 Silicon Graphics workstations back in the heyday when I was working in the movie industry, and all we were doing was spending our time playing Doom. Don't say anything. And doing those LAN parties with, forget about our work. But anyways, that game was fast back then. Fast action, fast pack, fast moving. The only thing I saw is, it looked like a very good first-person shooter, but I think it lacked the actual speed that the original has. So, or an Unreal Tournament or a game of that era, Serious Sam, or game of that era that really captivated me as far as from a speed and quickness standpoint, as far as that hectic, fast-paced action. It looked like more like a controlled first-person shooter perspective. So it's not exact. I mean, it looks like a good first-person shooter, but it does not capture the essence of Doom for me. It seemed more like close to Doom 3 than it did to Doom 1, which may, in the long run, not be in its best favor. But we'll have to wait and see. Fallout 4. No one's going to. I know Rob and I went back and forth on the previous podcast regarding the aesthetics of it. No one's going to really worry about the aesthetics when all is said and done, because the character models are, similar to Xenoblade Chronicles X. No one's going to care about the character models if the gameplay, the story, and the actual atmosphere and environment look outstanding, which it did. And I'm really excited to actually get involved with it. And also, if Fallout 3 is now being included on the Xbox One version with Fallout 4, that makes it even more enticing as well. Plus, they announced at the E3 conference that any mods made in the PC version will be transported over to the Xbox One version for free. You can download that as well, which made it very interesting as well to get that version. But we'll talk a little bit more about the Xbox One conference right now, since it looks like Bethesda conference was pretty basic, pretty straightforward, and Dishonored 2 looks like really like something that a lot of people are really interested as well, because Dishonored 1 was such a surprise hit. But the Xbox One conference was pretty solid. nothing really outstanding. No major price announcements. No major, you already knew about the 1 terabyte SKU that's out at $400. Nothing really earth-shattering there. The controller got a detailed look, which makes me kind of angry because I have the original controller and I wasn't given the opportunity to have that controller, which they should have done in the first place. But who's crying over spilt milk? But I really think that the conference was made for them based off their announcement that around at least 100 titles will be backwards compatible for the Xbox One. Make that happen. Similar to what they did back in the 360 days when they made X number of titles from the previous system compatible as well. Josh, what are your thoughts on that? And also the announcements of what everybody knew, the Gears of War 4 happening, the Gears of War collection happening, and also as well the looks at both Halo 5 Guardians, which look really good, and Alara Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, which also looked very strong as well.
All right, let me first off say I was really pleased to see that Microsoft stopped their focus on motion gaming. That was I could never really get on board with that because I don't know who goes home and says I can't wait to run in front of my TV for 3 hours. So it's that was good to see that. But I'm really excited. Halo 5 looks really good. It's a good jumping on point for people. I know when Halo 4 came out, I kept having little kids come up to me and ask me like, "Hey, do you play Halo?" And I kept telling them, "Yeah, I played Halo when you were still a sperm." But it looks really good, and I mean, it looks kind of, I guess you can call it kind of like Halo All-Stars because they have all the characters from like the previous entries, the books, the comic books, all gathered in one game. So I mean, obviously, since you have Buck, you're not going to have a sequel to ODST. But I'm excited to finally play as Fred and Kelly from the Blue Team, and the story looks interesting because they didn't tell you whether you're if it's up to you right now to trying to figure out whether Master Chief is a good guy or a bad guy, and whether you're going to be friends with Locke, or whether it's just a whole misunderstanding. So the game looks really interesting. My only complaint is that maybe they're making it a little too complicated because the beautiful thing about Halo is, besides the story, is that you can go into it and you just kind of like go on a linear path and just play the game without having to do too many extra things as far as commanding a squad and changing your weapon loadout. So it'll be interesting to see how that integrates into the new game.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't take too much away from where the focal point is more on commanding your team versus on your kind of I kind of see where you're going. So hopefully that doesn't prove to be a hindrance rather than more of a help. You take away some of your focus from the game.
Yeah, exactly. Because that was my big thing with Call of Duty. It used to be really simple to play. You just follow the mission objectives, but now you have all the extra stuff as far as commanding your squad, care packages, and all that. So that's the one thing I always loved about Halo. So I just hope that doesn't ruin it, but I'm still looking forward to it. It looks really good. What else was there? There was as far as the exclusives go, what's that game called? Recore?
Yeah, Recore.
Yeah, it didn't really, it
didn't do much for me either.
Yeah, I was hoping for more out of that. And Fable Legends, the trailer was really vague. They didn't really give much away about the gameplay. It's just a new trailer with Eva Green's voice as the villain. So they really, I was hoping for like more detail, or maybe even a release date, because they've just been teasing us with that game for almost 2 years now.
It seems like they did that too, even with the announcement with Gears. They didn't drop an announcement date or a release date necessarily. They were just kind of
putting a year out there, like it'll be sometime in 2016.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we'll push it back 4 or 5 times before you finally play it. So, the gameplay itself actually, it looks really good. They didn't really say much about the story as far as who that guy is and what happened to Marcus Phoenix. So I'm hoping we'll get a little more info on that in the coming months.
I wish it wasn't so dark. I feel like I obviously the intention was to probably shroud a lot of that first part of that scene that they first part of that gameplay and kind of mystery. But for me when I was watching it, it made it a little difficult to make out some of the finer details of the game, and it graphically it looked good, and it looked like it fell in line with some of the same game mechanics and gameplay type as the previous Gears. But I wish that they might have played a level that did a little more justice to the I'm sure there's probably a very large consumer base out there who are very excited about it. So I just kind of wish I was able to see a little bit more of the game in better detail rather than darkness.
Yeah, and you didn't get to see a lot of things that made the original Gears so great. Just the onslaught of people coming at you. You're just chasing something through the dark.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
But they didn't really show much footage from the Gears of War remaster, which I was hoping they would show. But Halo and Gears of War 4, I'm looking forward to hearing more about that in the coming months.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I think, I don't think anything really blew me away necessarily too much with the conference. I mean, they had a couple good software titles. I was telling Gerald earlier that I historically I remember playing Tomb Raider when it was on Sony PlayStation, the original one, and it's funny looking back and seeing the transformation that it made when it hit the newer gen systems. But to be completely honest with you, I'm pretty excited to see more from Tomb Raider, the new installment of Tomb Raider. I think the game looks incredible. Not only is it graphically aesthetically pleasing, but it looks like it falls in line very similarly with the previous Tomb Raider game. So I'm pretty excited to see how more of that storyline evolves and how Laura's journey kind of progresses further and deeper. And I'm pretty excited about seeing some more content related to that too. But and of course, I know EA had to make their presentation about Fallout, Bethesda rather had to make their presentation about Fallout, of course, during that press conference as well. But I know we're going to touch on more the EA, I think, after this. But have I rambled enough for you? Would you like to interject? No, okay. But anything else stick out to you outside of obviously the backward compatibility that Microsoft announced 100 titles, I believe. So
That's right. Yeah, we'll see if Sony is going to do the same thing, because that might be what pushes more buyers towards Xbox this year.
Yeah, I know they're trying to make some power plays to try to kind of
monopolize that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let me hand it back to the man here.
Two quick things I want to take away before we go and talk about EA. Yeah. Well, quick things I want to talk about is, first off, Gears of War 4 looked amazing. I'm really happy to see that's hit a sweet spot for Xbox. And I'm really excited to see that will be coming out holiday 2016. And then lastly, with the idea of Xbox backward compatibility, I noticed some titles already with Fallout coming with Fallout 3 and Rainbow Six Siege coming out with Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and 2. They're both you'll see this probably from some other publishers as well when they have X games. It's automatically gonna come free with the previous iterations. You're gonna probably see more of that as it comes down the line, especially when it comes to the Xbox One. But Josh, is this something as far as backwards compatibility that's really important to you? Because I thought when 360 originally announced it, I was really stoked for it. But then after a while, I was only playing 2 or 3 titles, and then after a couple of years, once really the Halo 2 multiplayer community kind of died down, kind of faded away into that area. It's an exciting announcement out now, but do you actually see it becoming a part of something that could be a good foundation for them?
I do, actually, because a lot of people I talk to who are interested in Xbox, the one thing that's making them not want to buy the Xbox One was the lack of backwards compatibility. and whether or not they play the games that they have, they just, people like the idea of it because people, they like to hoard things. You know, they have their old Xbox games. They're like, if I can't play those games, why do I want to buy a new console? But now that they can, they'll go out and buy an Xbox, and whether or not they play the games that are now backwards compatible, they'll still, you know, it'll still boost sales for Microsoft.
Yeah. Well, I get your point there. So, like I said, hopefully it will be a strong move for them. I'm hoping that there'll be actually a great way for us as gamers to be able to go and play those games from the past that I like, because I still have a lot of 360 titles. So I'm very, very happy that the announcement was made. I just want to be able to 2 years from now to say I'm still utilizing it, which I couldn't say very much for the last time they did it on the previous iteration. So, well, last one we hit for today for right now, because we're going to be on later tonight and talk about Ubisoft and, of course, PlayStation. But right now, I want to talk more about the EA conference, and it all started off with Mass Effect Andromeda. So I'm really, really excited for that, being a huge Mass Effect fan. It was really something that I was really happy showed something from the game engine, so I was really, really happy to see that. Josh, your thoughts on the EA conference as a whole, and what your hopes are for not only Mass Effect, but some of the other titles that were talked about?
Well, for Mass Effect, I was hoping for more details. Like it was a trailer, but they didn't really give much away about the game. So it's just, you know, you're exploring all these different worlds, but they didn't really tell you too much. So that was kind of disappointing. I thought it was, you know, just the existence of the game itself was exciting, but I didn't really. I was hoping for more details on it because I love the story in Mass Effect. That's the big thing that drew me to the original trilogy. So I was hoping for more. Let's see what else they got. They had.
We have to apologize. We have to apologize. We're staring at you in beautiful HD on the site yourgamesource.com. Also on our Twitch channel, game_source. So we're captivated by seeing you in 3 different screens. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Yeah, no problem. As far as the other games go, Mirror's Edge looks really good. The first one was really frustrating because I couldn't ever get the controls quite right, but I'll probably give it another try because this game looks really good.
Catalyst definitely does look outstanding.
Yeah. The story looks good too. It looks a lot more story oriented than the first one was, so that's always exciting. I like video games for stories. A lot of people tell me if you want stories, you know, pick up a book or something, but that's what draws me to most games. Plants vs. Zombies, never really got into that one, but it does, you know, it looks entertaining enough. The sports games, a lot of the new features they've added into the sports games look really good. As far as like FIFA, you can now play as the female soccer stars. The NHL has that new league for EA where you can play against people. The fantasy part of Madden looks interesting.
And then the NBA, as far as with the face cam, they're going to try that again. 2K had a horrendous time. Man, I was the memes of all the scanning that went wrong, that went awry, that they were flashing on Facebook when they introduced that. I think it was last year's iteration. It was so hilarious. And now EA is going to try and do the same thing, except for that you can do it off your cell phone. So this should prove to be quite interesting. But can they decrease the gap between themselves and as far as a basketball game is concerned? Because the gap is pretty wide on quality between the NBA Live and the NBA 2K series, which has been a point of contention to serious basketball and sporting game fans. My last question to you on the EA conference, I'm going to turn over to Nick on his thoughts. Star Wars Battlefront, which I'm sure everybody was there really to see. Your thoughts on the game that's coming out this November look truly incredible to me. No space battles, but it really does still look like Battlefield in space. That's fine by me.
Well, it looked really good. It captured it seems like it has a lot of the elements that made the first one so great. They I don't really know too much about it. I got to look at more details about it, but it looks really good. And same thing with the expansion to the Old Republic. Unfortunately,
Yeah, that looked good too.
Yeah. I was hoping for an announcement that they were putting on consoles because I don't have a nice enough computer to run these games, but that didn't come. So hopefully,
Don't feel bad. Neither do I.
the Star Wars game. I'm really excited to play Battlefront. What about you guys?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was watching the trailer and or the gameplay footage rather, and I'm like, that is gonna have to be a game I'm gonna have to pick up or rent on Redbox for a good amount of time or bum it off him because he'll get it. Yeah. I thought it was I mean I just not only does the gameplay look phenomenal, but it's funny when you look at yeah, there we go, The Witcher. He knows I need some source of entertainment before I begin on my my game designer journey next month. So, but I just just watching the gameplay through, it was absolutely phenomenal. Not to mention it's aesthetically beautiful, but it's just I'm really looking forward to that. But I know we were everybody was there to see that because how often did they have the timer down at the end down at the bottom saying T minus X amount of time till Battlefront? Yeah. The other thing that probably appealed to me was Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare 2. I'm really looking forward to that one. I really am. My son absolutely loves that game. So as you can imagine, I'm looking forward to picking it up for him. But absolutely looking forward to playing it myself. Yeah, shut up. But I think is that it? Is that it for the conferences so far?
Any thoughts?
Any final thoughts? Thoughts of closure? What you're looking forward to seeing in the conferences to come?
In the conferences to come, I'm hoping for a Borderlands announcement, but I that's looking doubtful right now. But other than that, I'm excited to see more footage from Assassin's Creed. Hopefully a Watch Dogs 2 announcement, but we'll see. What about you guys?
I'm gonna put you on the spot, and I'm also gonna put the viewers. And thank you for watching us. If you're watching us on Twitch, by the way, I noticed we got some viewers, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. Once again, this is Game Source on Facebook, Game_Source on Twitter, your Game Source on YouTube, and of course our home site, yourgamesource.com, and at Game Source on Twitter. One last question before we head on out here, because we're going to take a look at the Ubisoft, because we're running a little late for the Ubisoft conference, and also as well, which we'll have to see and repeat before the big PlayStation conference. One last thing, my friend. Okay, will we see The Last Guardian announced tonight officially, with a date? With a date?
It's
or no?
It's doubtful. No, I don't think so.
I'm going to tell you, yes, you will see a Last Guardian with a date, because Mark Cerny is rumored to be working on it, and he's the project lead designer of the PlayStation 4. So I have a feeling with his magic fingers, there actually will be a light at the end of the tunnel. Will it be enough to make fans happy? I don't think anybody really cares at this point. They just want to move on. So, Nick, yes or no? Will there be a Last Guardian?
I'm gonna say yes.
All right, that's two yeses and one no. So we'll see. We'll talk about it later tonight, because phase 2 of our podcast, number 123, will be phase 2 of the E3 podcast later tonight, right here on all these channels. So we hope you get a chance to see us, and we hope you get a chance to enjoy the conferences yourselves. You can send us feedback. You can send us a tweet. You can comment on our Facebook page, GameSource, at GameSource on Twitter. You can send us a line. If you need to email us with any questions, info@yourgamesource.com. We appreciate you joining us. We appreciate you watching. But phase 1 is complete. Bethesda, Xbox, and also as well Electronic Arts are done, and it's a few more to go. So for Josh,
What?
Josh, it's for Josh Peterson, Angry Nick, and myself, Gerald, better known as Yes Elvis Lives. I want to thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching. We appreciate it. And enjoy the rest of the conferences for today, and we'll see you tonight.